Maryland sports fans, there's only one sports book in the great state of Maryland with over 50 years experience booking bets and supporting customers. Betfred Sportsbook at Longshots is now open and is the only sportsbook in Frederick offering cash betting on football, basketball, world soccer, and more. Visit the Betfred Sportsbook at I-270 and MD-85 in Frederick, right next to Longshots off-track betting. Go to betfredsports.com for more information and your chance to win exclusive merchandise. Must be 21 or older. Play responsibly. For help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Progressive is America's #1 motorcycle insurer, so we understand motorcycles. No, really, we have a bike translator.
Okay, this is awkward, but this bike says he'd appreciate it if you removed his skull pattern saddlebags. He feels self-conscious about them around all the other bikes, and he says you're not fooling anyone. You mostly ride with your golfing buddies. Listen, I'm just the messenger here. Oh, no, I don't want to say that. I think you made yourself clear.
Quote with Progressive and see if you could save with America's #1 motorcycle insurer. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Hey, it's Mistress Carrie, reporting for duty from MCHQ for episode 96 of the Mistress Carrie podcast. And before we get to this week's guest, Jeff Keith from Tesla, I want to welcome Crystal and Des to the family of Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass holders. If you don't have yours, you can go to patreon.com/Mistress Carrie or click the Patreon button at mistresscarrie.com. The Backstage Passes give you way more access to me and everything I got going on. There's exclusive monthly live streams, discount coupons for merch in the Mistress Carrie online store, exclusive access to free concert tickets, all kinds of inside info, travel blogs, photos, and you can even submit questions for upcoming Mistress Carrie podcast interviews. And that's exactly what Melissa did for this one. And yes, we're going to get all the answers behind the 5-man acoustical jam and Tesla's cover of Signs, courtesy of Melissa. So if you're looking for a lot more Mistress Carrie in your life, get yourself a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass on Patreon. The band Tesla is one of my all-time favorite rock bands. When I really started discovering the rock and roll that I loved, Tesla was smack dab right there in the middle of it all. Mechanical Resonance, The Great Radio Controversy, Psychotic Supper, the 5-man acoustical jam. There are just so many amazing songs on there. And 37 years later, Jeff Keith is still singing with the band. Tesla's getting ready to go back out on the road this summer with a stop at Indian Ranch in Webster, Massachusetts on July 31st. So I thought this would be the perfect time to sit down with Jeff Keith, catch up with him, find out how he was faring during all of the COVID craziness, to talk about his upbringing, his musical influences, how he takes care of that iconic singing voice, what it's like to still be playing with the guys all these years later, and to find out what we can expect from this upcoming tour. Every time I've been fortunate enough in my radio career to talk to Jeff, he is always the same. Approachable, humble, easygoing, and passionate about doing what he loves. And that's exactly what you're going to hear from him here. So allow me to introduce you to the one and only Jeff Keith from Tesla.
Hey, what's up? This is Sully from Godsmack. Strap on those boots, baby, because you are now in the trenches of the war room with the one and only Mistress Carrie right here on the Mistress Carrie podcast.
What's up? This is Joe Rogan, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie.
Her hair so lovely, pretty eyes.
Hey, this is Brent from Shinedown, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie. Hey, Carrie, go put your bra on, girl.
Hey, this is Steven Tyler, and you be listening to the baddest bitch in Boston, Mistress Carrie.
What's up? This is Aaron from Stain, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie.
Hi, everybody. This is Dave Grohl from Foo Fighters, and you're listening to the one, the only Mistress Carrie.
Hey, this is David from the band Disturbed, and you're listening to the baddest bitch in Boston, Mistress Carrie.
Hi, Bruce Dickinson here from Iron Maiden. Yes, indeed, Miss Whiplash herself, Mistress Carrie, is here to unchain your brain.
Hi, this is Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. You're listening to Mistress Carrie.
This is Dennis Leary. You are listening to my favorite, Mistress Carrie.
Hey, this is Corey from Stone Sour, and you're listening to, you have the privilege of listening to Mistress Carrie. Oh, God. Oh, yeah.
Mr. Jeff Keith from Tesla. Oh, my God. Thank you for calling.
All right. Well, thanks for having me, Mistress Carrie.
It's so nice to talk to you again. We've met several times in my tenure at WAF in Boston, and I know the band did so much with that station over the years.
Absolutely.
The first thing I want to ask you, since the station kind of going off the air triggered the full-on apocalypse. When I told everybody that I was going to be talking to you, they always asked me about your incredibly famous cover of Signs and whether or not that was connected originally with WAF, because it was, right?
Absolutely. Me and Frank and Tommy went in there and played Signs. And the phones were literally ringing off the hook back when phones were on a hook. And, and then Geffen Records says, well, we've got a whole evening of this. And next, we got a whole, we put out a 5-man acoustical jam. So it was definitely the start of all that. Yeah.
Is that what the springboard was for the MTV Unplugged thing too? Because I had heard that. Is that true?
Well, I don't know. You hear a lot of things. I'm not quite sure about that. I know MTV did ask us to play an Unplugged thing, but I don't know if it was. I don't know the timeline of that. If 5-man acoustical jam had been out, I'm not quite sure, but it was close at the same time.
Tesla's been a band for a really long time, and now. Are you guys sitting around plotting the violent death of Elon Musk? How does that work?
Are we planning on what now?
Are you plotting Elon Musk's violent death because now when people are Google searching Tesla, they're finding cars too?
No, we would never feel that way towards somebody. But yeah, there's cars everywhere. But, we used the inventor's name back, 37 years ago. And now... this Elon Musk has Tesla Motors. So, we got nothing against the guy. He's doing great.
I can't believe that the band has been a band for that long. Like you saying 37 years just like blew my mind.
All right. Well, thanks. Yeah. Well, the one thing I know is Elon Musk supposedly has a Tesla car floating around in space. But we've been around for 37 years and just loving every minute of it, except for the 4 years we broke up. And then, of course, going through the whole COVID thing, something else. But, no, we're still going at it, and we're happy to do it, and we're still having fun with it.
Can we go back to your early days in rock and roll? Because I'm fascinated, and I have a theory, tell me if I'm wrong, that you grow up gifted with music from your parents, siblings, your cool uncle, and then there's a time in your adolescence when you hear a band, a song, an album, and you say, wait, that's my music. What was the soundtrack like in your family growing up? What music were you gifted? And then what's the first band that you kind of go, okay, now I'm claiming them for myself?
Oh, boy, I don't know. See, I'm a small town boy, so I didn't grow up with all those dreams, being 12 years old, going, I'm going to grow up, I want to be a rock star and all that. So I grew up in a small town of Georgetown, California, here in Northern California. And my dad played in a little band. We lived at the Georgetown Hotel. And then moved to Oklahoma, graduated high school out of Idaho, Oklahoma, majoring in FFA, and come back to Georgetown and was driving a truck, septic tank, hauling rock, gravel, and all that stuff. We were number one in the number two business is a keychain we had. And and never thought, I'd ever be in something. Never would have thought I'd be where I am today. But me and my brother and a couple friends got a little living room band going on. We didn't have a garage. And we're just playing our favorite AC/DC, Rush, all our favorite songs, Black Sabbath and all that.
What music did your parents play in the house when you were a kid? Like what was on the radio?
Yeah, it was a lot of country music. Yeah, my dad playing a little country band there at Georgetown Hotel. So, and then of course moving back to Oklahoma, country music's a big part of my life, and of course rock and roll. And then My first concert was Day on the Green #3 at the Oakland Coliseum with Van Halen opening the show. It was and AC/DC. Oh my gosh, Bon Scott and Malcolm Young blew me away. I mean, AC/DC blew me away. And then it was Pat Travers, and it was Aerosmith. No, Foreigner, and then Aerosmith. That was my very first concert in my life. I was 19 years old. And
that's a hell of a show, Jeff, to start out.
No, I know, 1978. It was fantastic. Just blew me away. But it was just like, all right, drive back up to Georgetown, little, population 900, and everything was great. And like I said, started the little band with my brother and a couple friends, and then these two girls that are very good friends that lived in Georgetown now lived in Sacramento, and knew Frank Hannon and Brian Wheat and City Kid, and they knew their singer was going to quit that night to go to a bigger band, and so they got me to come down and got me to sit in with the guys, and I knew nothing about microphones, nothing like that, just squealing all over the place. But I went to share the mic with Frank Hannon singing, "Your love is driving me crazy," and which I had done previously about 6-8 months before that with a contest where you put on a Walkman headset and you sing into a live mic. So all the people hear is you singing into the mic. Of course, you've got the headset on here, just singing along with the song. And I won $200. So with that, and then the two friends from Georgetown that knew Brian and Frank, they had me come down. And I sat in and auditioned, and Brian Wheat says, I can't tell if the guy could sing or not. I couldn't even hear him. He knows nothing about microphones and monitors and all that. But Frank said, I know. He knows nothing, but he came over to share the mic with me 2 feet away from his mouth, and he sang into my ear, and he's our guy. So that's what saved me. So I always say I'm like, the turtles in Finding Nemo. Catch the drift, dude. And I caught the drift.
See, now I always say that I'm like Nemo because I have 2 different size feet, so I have 2 different size flippers.
Okay, well, I kind of have probably 2 different size flippers myself.
Wait, what? And you have 2 different size feet?
No. No. I just meant in a mindset.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but no. But
I got all excited that we were going to be able to share shoes.
No, but we can share the same story because I was like the turtles saying, "Catch the drift, dude." And I happened to catch the drift with these guys, and next you know, we changed our name to Tesla, and '86 put out a record, and things have been going great ever since. And then, like, the acoustic record was really a fluke because we were out on tour with Motley Crue in like '89, '90. And we just had 2 nights off in a row where Motley Crue had like 5 different prior commitments in certain cities, and Philadelphia was one of them. So we brought down a 24-track mobile truck, recorded it, had it in the can for like 6 months, forgot all about it, and then played WAAF, and the phones were ringing off the hook, and Geffen Records says, not only do we have the song, but we have a whole evening. And so, of course, they wanted us to redo some things. We said no, and so we put it out completely live, and I think that's what people appreciated about it was just raw from start to finish.
I ask a lot of musicians this because technology is so different from when Tesla started. When you guys go in to record new music, like you just released Cold Blue Steel, like when you go in to record music, are you on the side of wanting the imperfections in rock and roll to be there, or do you like the fact that technology allows you to take out the imperfections?
Well, it's not like we wanted imperfections in there. Imperfections just happen when you're just kind of raw like that. But yeah, today's technology can make things, I think it can do great things. You can be a little out of time and you can slide a track over, things like this. we don't really use the auto tune. It doesn't work well for us, but stuff like that. But technology's great, but I think that, in a lot of cases, actually, it can, make it kind of stale if you overdo it, because there is no end of possibilities that you can do. And so, yeah, we even when we do it with the new technology, we try to still keep it raw, keep some imperfections in there. Absolutely. That's what gives it, feel and all that to us anyways,
You talked
That's how
about
we feel.
You talked about when you were a kid majoring in the future farmers of America. I just, as it happens, rototilled my garden this morning. It's something I love to do. Jeff Keith from Tesla, do you have gardening advice for me?
Well, now I couldn't hardly grow you anything, and I always joke that the FFA in my case stood for Future Frontmen of America, because I couldn't grow you a damn thing. But I do know peanuts are grown underground. I can weld a bead that won't quit, and we had to watch a calf be born and watch the whole process to get an A in that. So because there was shop, there was agriculture, and then there was livestock. So it was a great experience. But I couldn't. I know how to run a rototiller good. I could have rototilled with you really good, but it's not like I'm some expertise. But I always do pop that off at everybody when I say, well, peanuts are grown underground. They're like, they are? It's like, well, the plant grows above the ground, peanuts grow underground, like a potato. So that's about how much I know from it. But no, I think it was great. It was fantastic, And like I said, back then especially, I never would have thought I was ever going to be in a rock band. Never. I wouldn't have thought that in 1982.
Well, before I got on the air, I too was a truck driver. Yeah, so you and I have that in common. You were number one in the number two business.
That's right. Well, because it was, we poured and pulled and poured our own septic tanks. And if you set it right, there's nothing involved. It's just pure, fresh concrete, and set the tank in there properly, and you never have to deal with anything. So, but we had keychains that were shaped like number one, saying Georgetown Precast, number one in the number two business, which is a good business to be in, because just about it. No, not just about everybody has to go number two.
I won so much money in my truck driving days because no one thought that the purple-haired girl could hook up the trailer and get like the umbilical and all the connections made. I can't tell you how many times people bet me that I couldn't back into the loading dock, and I did it. And I paid for a lot of drinks back in my truck driving days because people lost a lot of money to me.
See, because they didn't believe you could do it, and you did it because you knew what you were doing.
Yeah, exactly. Do you?
Yes.
I mean, you're around trucks all the time because you're constantly out on tour. Could you still drive one if you got behind the wheel of one?
Oh, yeah. But now they're all fancy, I mean, they got all these, they got automatic ones now. You don't even have to shift. But I like to ride with our truck driver, Larry, now and then, and when I get a chance. And I love it. After driving a truck, you would know this, Carrie, once you drive 80,000 pounds pushing and pulling, driving a pickup truck or a car, it's like almost like driving a go-kart, but it's not a go-kart. It is a vehicle. But I mean, it taught me a lot about, the drivetrain and the feel of just driving a vehicle. I mean, like I said, when you got 80,000 pounds pushing and pulling, you better know what you're doing. And you knew what you were doing, and that's why you bet a lot of people, and they lost.
I did like kind of being out there, like I did like the freedom of kind of being out on the road. And I mean, it's cool. It's fun. Sometimes it can suck, but it's good.
Yeah, but see, you probably did long hauling. I did local, where sometimes we'd drive across the canyon 4 times a day with our aggregate for pouring the concrete, and then we would haul the septic tanks and water tanks, and so I did it locally here in Northern California. You probably did the long haul.
Yeah. But
That's the big league there.
But you do a lot of long haul for the tour. So I love the answers to these questions when I ask musicians. When the Tesla tour rolls into a truck stop at like 3 a.m,
I'm in there.
What's the craziest thing you ever bought at a truck stop? Like, what are you buying?
The craziest thing, I'm usually just going in to find a hat I can wear, for signs when I tuck my hair up underneath my hat. So usually, I'm always going in there. I'm getting the hostess ho-hos and ding-dongs and chocolate milk and apple pies, and usually getting that kind of stuff. But, I could be ready to go to bed, go to sleep, and I go, oh, we're at a truck stop. I'll throw on my shoes and stuff and go on in. I love going in truck stops. And just looking around at stuff, and I usually end up at the hat rack,
You haven't been able to really tour the way the band is used to because of COVID. What was that downtime like for you? What were you doing? Did you discover a new hobby or something?
That was a tough time. 18 months of nothing. And that was really tough, but got to spend a lot of great quality family time, which was great, with my wife and kids and family and friends, but it was, due to the circumstances, we were built to go out on the road and come home, and then go out on the road, come home. So when the bottom of the barrel dropped out, it was pretty devastating, really. And then, of course, all the lives that were lost and all this virus, and you had to think about every single thing you did,
Yeah.
Things that you would normally just get out and just go over and do this and do that. You had to think, okay, wait a minute, where's my mask? Oh, it was a lot for all of us to deal with, and we're still dealing with it, but it's tapering off quite a bit. But that was a tough time. That was a real tough time as far as for missing what we love to do most, and that is go out on the road and rock and roll.
Who had a harder time adjusting to being home? You or your wife and kids? Because you're not home a lot.
Me and my wife and kids, both of us, because of course, I'm used to getting out there and having the Tesla schedule, and then my wife and kids are used to not having me around for more than a month, so it throws their scheduling, not scheduling, but throws their routine off. So we made the best of it and hung in there. And like I said, 18 months is a long time, a year and a half. And then we went out and did some shows with Leonard Skinner and did like 3 months at the end of last year. And now things are just starting up. And I think by the time we get up coming through your area, we're going to be more in a full-fledged tour, where we're on the buses. And right now we're just kind of doing flyouts,
Yeah, you guys are playing a show for us at Indian Ranch on July 31st, and it's going to be a blast. Outside, in the summer, by the lake, rock and roll. It's going to be great.
Nice. Sounds like a fantastic setting already. Love it.
You mentioned your family. Is it harder to keep a marriage together or to keep a rock band together?
Oh, you know what? We've done pretty good with both. Easier for a marriage because it's two people, and then of course if you have kids. But with a band, it's 5 guys, or in our situation, 5 guys, and it's so like it's a 5-person marriage. But we're brothers. We've been brothers for so many years, and so we make it work. And we get along really well. And, we've had some ins and outs and stuff, and it happens. But it's probably it's probably harder. Maybe I don't want to say harder for either one because it all depends on what you put into it.
I've never had anyone in a band tell me that a marriage was harder. Every single person says exactly what you said, that there's so many more personalities in a band that just complicates things even more.
Right, exactly. But as long as you got a system that kind of works and you give and take, and we really enjoy what we do, Carrie. We really do, and hopefully that shows, and I know that's how we feel. We love getting on stage because that's the moment where nobody can touch us. It's us, just us five, and phones or hold all calls and all that kind of stuff, and get up there and have a great time. People are having a great time, and it's just a full circle, great atmosphere, and a rock and roll great time.
I got married in the height of COVID, so I'm still kind of a newlywed. And my husband, my husband's a country music fan, which has been hard for me. Can you tell me some country music that maybe I should listen to that might help my marriage? Because it's not my thing.
But see, I don't know because, I'm a country boy at heart too. So growing up in Oklahoma, man, I got George Jones, Merle Haggard, Johnny Cash. I mean, it just the list goes on and on. So I love country music. So, but I don't know what kind of country music that your husband likes now, because he might like the newer country, which I'm not that familiar with.
Nah, he likes the old school stuff. He likes the Johnny Cash, like that kind of stuff. That's what he's into.
Oh yeah. George Jones, Johnny Cash. Oh yeah, Merle Haggard, all that stuff. I love it. When I listen to country music, that's what I listen to. So I'm not that hip on the newer stuff, but there's some great newer stuff that people have played for me. It sounds great. So yeah, man, just good old country music. Just, I don't know. I'm sure if you guys sit down and listen to some music together and go, I like that. And he goes, I like that too. Or maybe you go, I don't really like that. Well, I like all kinds of music. So I love rock and roll big time. I love country music. I love R&B. I love a lot of things. I love a lot of music that I grew up on, So hopefully you guys find a common ground with it.
I'm trying to get him to love rock music, so I'm trying to help him out a little bit too. He loves AC/DC, so we're on the right track.
Well, there you go. If you love AC/DC, hey, that's a great rock band to share. And then, give him a chance, let him play some of his country stuff, and just listen to it. There's a lot of heart and soul in the country music, but that's just my take on it. So, I'm sure you guys will find something that you'll share together.
I love asking songwriters this question because I love music and I can hear music and kind of know that it's good, right? But I can't write it myself. So as a songwriter, and this is a songwriting question, so it's any genre, any artist, that doesn't matter. Can you give me an example or two of a song that you feel is so well crafted that you wish you wrote it? Like an example of perfect songwriting, and then explain why?
Man, there's so many great songs that touch me. Wow.
Yeah, it's a hard question because there's so...
It is a hard question.
But you're going to come at it from a different perspective, right? Because you're going to be able to kind of do an autopsy on the song, whereas I wouldn't be able to break it apart the way you would because you write songs.
I don't know, but I'm a pretty simple guy, up to my neck by AC/DC with Bon Scott, and then I love the stuff with Brian Johnson. But I mean, oh my gosh. And I love a lot of bands, like from Korn, Common Undone, I mean, the list goes on and on. Nickelback, Photograph Someday. I mean, I don't know where to start and where to finish. Def Leppard, oh my gosh. I mean, there's so many that when I'm asked what's your top 10 favorites, like, I can't do that. You're on a deserted island with 10 records. What 10 records do you want? I'm like, I don't want to be on a deserted island. They go, I know, but can you just pick 10? It's tough for me to pick 10.
Well, that's why I like this coming from the songwriting perspective, right? Because it's a skill that not everybody has to be able to write a song.
Sure. Yeah, well, as long as it comes from the heart. I can even throw Tessa in there, What You Give, songs like that. And Are They Cowboy Love Song? I mean, there's a lot of Tessa songs that they're from the heart. So, there's so many songs, too many to choose from, Carrie. That's a tough question for me, a guy like me.
You talk about Def Leppard, and you've worked with Phil Collen on a producing band kind of relationship. Is it hard when you're already friends with the person to put them in a position to produce you?
No, we did Shock, the Shock record with Phil Collen, and it was a lot of fun. It was a different approach on things, and Phil did a fantastic job. He's a great guy, for starters. He's just an awesome guy, and he really knows what he's doing, and he helped us make a record that we definitely couldn't have made on our own. So we had a great time with it. It was a fantastic experience.
Now that you're getting ready to go out and start touring like you used to do, obviously pre-COVID, what's your regimen to get your voice ready, and how do you take care of it when you're touring hard like you're going to this summer?
I'm an odd bird. I just be myself all day, and then because that's kind of who I am on stage. So I know you're supposed to do the la 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 me 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 me. I know you're supposed to do all those things I learned way back in the early days, but I just like I'm sitting here talking to you, and I'm just like that, and then that's who I am on stage, and just singing words to a melody, So, and having fun with my buddies. So, I don't do the normal, drink the tea and do all that stuff, and I just be myself all day, and then I can kind of tell if it's like I'm just being my usual self, and I could feel my voice feels a little under. I don't know. It happens, I mean, when you're a vocalist, and you're the singer, your voice is built in, so it's tough because you just can't change the strings or change the heads or get a new set of sticks, or not that makes it any easier for the other guys, but they can be hacking with a chest cold, but a chest cold for me is like, oh.
That's what Jonathan Davis said, that exact same thing to me, that he was like, look, we can, you guys can still function if you're sick. Without me, there's no show.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like Brian Wheat, we call him B-Dub. He's had to put super glue on his fingers before because he's got blisters on his fingers. But, and it works, but with a voice and with vocal cords and everything, if you get things swelled up and inflamed up, next there has been a time where I got shut down for 5 days because of like a blood vessel was going to burst, and it could ruin your whole career. And so to go for a talkative guy like me, a yacker, and to just sit on a bus for 5 days using a dry erase board, that's a tough one, but it was necessary. Because, like I said, things can get swelled up. And that chest cold, it's all right when you're kind of hacking and coughing, but once it moves into your chest, it can be tough. And there's been times where we've had to push shows back, and we've always made them up. But it's tough. It's what I always say every time we go on the road. It's like I'm carrying a bag of bricks on my shoulder, you're always carrying that bag of bricks around because, if you just sit there and just can kind of carry on like everybody else and run around here, run around there, and next you know your voice is tired and it's not putting out, and that's not a fun place to be because it puts a lot of kind of a lot of pressure on you, and you try not to let it put a lot of pressure on you. Think about it. Don't try to never overthink anything. Anytime I've ever tried to think about something, I messed it up. It's usually try to just go by natural feel. But yeah, with the voice being your instrument, you're always carrying that sack of bricks on your shoulder, and because you can be the showstopper if it gets bad enough,
I've done a lot of interviews over the years, and there seems to be a genetic component when it comes to musical ability. Did you pass that off to the kids? Are they musicians too?
My son Joe Bob, he just turned 11. He plays drums. Troy, look at it, got him a set of drums here, for his size. A couple of years ago, he's got him in the garage. He can bang him. He takes drum lessons, and he from kindergarten on, they have this thing called rock star program. So when he started kindergarten, he was, playing keyboards, and then the next year in first grade, he's going, "I'm going to be the bass player, Dad," and so yeah, he plays a few different kinds of instruments, but he's, we ride dirt bikes and do things like that. So it's not like he's just locked in to be a musician. He just likes to do overall. As a matter of fact, we got it this weekend. We're going to a baseball tournament down in Central California for a couple days, and he's on a little AAA travel team, and he does really well. So baseball seems to be his passion. He's dying to play football, but we'll see how that goes. Tackle football.
Are you a sports guy? I mean, this is Boston after all. We got the Red Sox.
Are you kidding? I love sports, hockey, baseball. I love it. I love it all. But sometimes, especially these days, and they want them to do it, it's the showboating stuff. So football, I love the game of football, especially from the 60s and 70s and 80s, but a lot of showboating going on there. But I love baseball and hockey because there's not much, there's not much time for showboating. Baseball, maybe a little bit. Hockey, it's like, it's on, and there's no time to go, "Hey, look at me."
And there's not a lot of other sports where you get to punch the guy in the face.
Right. Well, that aggression comes out, but they are playing hard. But I love sports, and I just love it where there's not much time for showboating, but showboating is like a big deal. And now stats have come in, and, so you can have players with great stats, and people can put together their little, team and go, "Oh man, it was a great weekend." You go, I don't know, the games weren't really that good, but they're like, "I know, but I won." So since stats came along, I don't know, for me, that's taken away from the sport a little, but that's just me. Once again, I'm an odd guy a little bit. I'm the odd bird out a little bit because I just like good old-fashioned, make a great play, hand the ref the ball, and let's go and do it again.
Before I let you go, we were separated from the bands we love for so long because of COVID. What was the perspective like being kept from your fans? And what do you want to say to the fans after all these years, now that you're finally able to get back out on the road in a major way?
Well, it's always great that we're going to be back with them, full circle, having a great time sharing those great moments on stage, and they're in the audience. And like I said, it becomes full circle, and the vibe is just in the air, and really looking forward to that. And I'll be glad when things are calmed down enough to where you can go back and and you see some fans outside, you can go sign an autograph for them, and you can go put your arm around them and take a picture. I miss those days,
Yeah, it's been hard not being able, as a fan, to be able to go to those shows and be in those rooms and have the energy of all the other fans with you and listen to the music you love. We all kind of got isolated from that place we go to blow off steam.
I know, and I'm a very fan-oriented person. I love the fans, and we all do in Tesla, but I just thrive on it. And so the really hard part for me so far getting back into it is I miss, for lack of words I can think of right now, mingling with the fans. I like to mingle with the fans. So at this point, things still have to be kind of careful. So I really miss that, but I really am excited to be back. We are on stage and having that full house of energy, just like, wow, all right, just sharing that moment of us on stage, the fans in the crowd, and and hopefully we're playing some of their favorite songs, and we're just having a blast, us five up there on stage and chilling together, and it's just one big happy atmosphere.
Well, I'm hoping that we can do some mingling on July 31st when you're playing the show for us. So I can't wait to see you.
I hope so too, Carrie. Let's keep our fingers crossed and hope things, they're going in the right direction. They stay going in the right direction.
Jeff, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, Carrie. I appreciate talking with you, and you already know this. Can't find them, grind them.
We'll talk to you soon, and we'll see you this summer.
Okay, see you this summer.
There he is, Jeff Keith from Tesla. You can see the band on July 31st. 100 FM The Pike presents Tesla at Indian Ranch in Webster, Massachusetts. Tickets are available right now, and there's a link in the show notes of this podcast. While you're there, you can also find the link to the corresponding playlist. Every full-length episode of the Mistress Carrie podcast gets a playlist that is full of all of the music that we talked about in this episode. You'll also find all the links to find Tesla online, and you'll find all of the links to find me online as well. And if you liked what you heard, don't forget to subscribe and follow the Mistress Carrie podcast so you don't miss anything. New full-length episodes come out every Wednesday, plus every weekday you get the Sit Rep, which is all your rock news, music headlines, and industry info in less than 5 minutes. And if you're feeling a little thirsty, every Tuesday night at 8:30 Eastern, I'm streaming live on my official Facebook page for my video show, Cocktails in the War Room. Get details on all of that online at MistressCarrie.com. The Mistress Carrie Podcast, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network.
Progressive is America's #1 motorcycle insurer, so we understand motorcycles. No, really, we have a bike translator.
Okay, so this bike feels like he's capable of a little more than just trips to the convenience store. Oh, also, he wants to let you know that you can buy a gallon of ice cream instead of a pint every time. Those are his words. So he said roughly like, blink the last wheel. It doesn't really translate, but the way he said it was super funny.
Get 24/7 roadside assistance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Roadside assistance subject to policy terms and limits and may require comprehensive coverage.
At the Home Depot, we're dedicated to helping you build the skills that get your home projects done right. That's why we offer free and interactive online DIY workshops. During the live streams, our knowledgeable associates help you tackle your DIY projects no matter your age or skill level. You can learn how to install new single-pole switches, as well as standard duplex and GFCI outlets. Register for free at homedepot.com/workshops. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.